What's up, Mortgage Coach community and Trust Engine community? I am super pumped for the interview I'm going to have. This will be my first conversation with Nick Mallory. I'll tell you who Nick is in a minute, but this is going to be different than the typical interview that I do. Most of the interviews, I'm interviewing top performing loan officers that they have figured out how to stand out from a sea of sameness. They know how to differentiate. They know how to win. I'll interview a lot of authors where people, go read a book. This is a future author, although I haven't asked Nick if he's got a plan to write a book. But he was referred to me by Jason Tucker, who is just one of the best human beings in the housing industry. He's an executive with WFG Title, just an incredible human being. And everybody who's ever referred to me, like, Dave, you need to interview this person. They've been amazing. Brittany Hodak was my last referral from Justin. So Nick, do you know Brittany by any chance?
I do. I met Brittany at a conference about a month ago. She's fantastic with the super fans, creating fans, big time fans of your customers. It's awesome content from Brittany.
Yeah, well, you're competing with her today. Like, you got to be a better. I don't know if that's possible though. Brittany's pretty darn good.
Yeah, I don't know about that. That's a tough order. I got beer on my side, right? I guess I got something. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah. So guys, the only little breadcrumb I'm going to give you guys before Nick tells his story and tells us as the lending industry how to stand out from the sea of sameness is he was a marketing executive at Rogue Brewery, which, living in Portland for as long as I did, I know who Rogue is. And I know that some of the biggest, smartest people from Nike were the investors behind that. So the fact that you were on the marketing team tells me you're a pretty smart dude. And, so why don't you give everybody just a little bit of your backstory, and then, tell us your philosophies on standing out in a sea of sameness.
Yeah, first of all, I appreciate the time being here, David. It's great to see you. And boy, following Brittany, that's a tough order. It's certainly one I'll take on. I love her content, and she's super awesome. So hopefully I can live up to the billing. I grew up in good old Eugene, Oregon. I went to the University of Oregon, go Ducks. I got my degree in finance. Yeah, go Ducks. I got a degree in finance or finance, depending upon where you're from in the country. My dad was from Indiana, so it's finance. After that, I moved down to Arizona and I got into the lending industry. This is 2004, 2005. The real estate world was absolutely on fire. It being Scottsdale, Arizona, it was even more on fire, I guess, literally and figuratively.
It was bonkers. Yeah, it was crazy.
It was bonkers. And, how do you get a kid from rainy Oregon to move to Arizona? You bring them down there and show them Arizona in February. So I moved down, was down there in the real estate market until about 2007, and then decided, with my then wife, wanted to have kids. So we moved back up to Portland. Was still in the lending industry, but this was 07, 08. And, as everybody knows, with a financial history book, the world was changing by the millisecond. So I went to work for a company called Northwest Mortgage Advisors and a guy named Dustin Hughes. And that's really where my whole world turned around. I had always had a huge love of marketing. I'm an Oregon kid. I went to the U of O. You see all the Nikes on the wall behind me. I'm a big Nike fan, love the brand, loved marketing. And I just started getting into it. And it was one of those things where I really found my passion. I know that term gets kind of bandied about a lot lately, but I really found my passion. I was just digesting everything I could about marketing and completely fell in love with it. And after a couple of years, decided to pivot my entire career. And I had a client at the time who worked for a manufacturing company in Portland. He said, "Hey, we need a marketing guy. I love your stuff. I love your take." So I went to work for him and kind of parlayed that over a handful of years into getting an opportunity at Rogue and kind of my birth into the beer business. This was about 13 years ago. And they took a huge chance on me, brought me in. And like you said, Rogue was started by all old ex-Nike guys. I mean, these are the guys that brought Michael Jordan to market. And it was absolutely a place of nonstop learning lessons. I mean, these guys were phenomenal. And After about 4.5 years, I moved on to Widmer Brothers and then Kona Brewing after that, and finally landed at ELYSIAN up in Seattle, where I'm currently the director of marketing of ELYSIAN Brewing in Seattle, Washington.
So guys, what can you learn from, someone that knows marketing, knows the mortgage business? When him and I had a prep call, it was like surprising how well he knew what MortgageCoach was. I actually really love that. But he's learned some things that I think are really important. And he's learned some things that are so important that, Justin Tucker had him as one of the keynote speakers at a recent event, just feeling like the lending industry, the housing industry needs to hear this message. So, why don't you, share some lessons that you've learned? I know you have some slides. I don't know if you want to share them. I'll leave it to you whether you share slides or not. But why don't you, share some of the lessons, some of the stories that you've learned that you think would be valuable to mortgage and realtors?
Yeah, there's a couple of them. There are really three big lessons that I talk about when I talk about standing out and really kind of differentiation, stuff I've learned over the years in the beer industry. But before we get into lessons, let's kind of paint a picture here really quickly of what the craft beer industry looks like. Picture you go into like your local grocery store and you walk down the beer aisle. I mean, think about the number of products that are on the shelf just in the beer aisle, and think about the number of products from your local market that are on the shelf in a beer aisle. I mean, there are 9,500 craft breweries across the country. At any given point in time, there are about 150,000 IPAs on the market, depending upon, if you look at kind of the country in aggregate. ELYSIAN up here in Seattle is an IPA brewery. Our number one product is Space Dust, an IPA. And so you're in a massively crowded market, a market that has almost overwhelming choice associated with it. And our marketing team's goal every single day is, how do we stand out? It really dovetails perfectly with kind of Brittany's content. We're in the business of creating super fans too. How do we engage with our customers and stand out kind of in that overwhelming sea of options? Everybody brews great beer. Just like in the mortgage business, everybody says they give great service, right? That's like the price of entry. So having a great beer, having good liquid is sort of, par for the course. But how do you stand out beyond that? There are really three huge lessons that I talk about with my team, and I talk about it all the time. The first lesson is the promise, right? I loved this line from Jack Joyce, my mentor at Rogue, the guy that started Rogue. He's such a great guy, cantankerous, loved teaching, loved coaching, is awesome. Kind of like the Steve Jobs of craft beer. He would always say, I don't care what a beer tastes like. I care if it lives up to its promise. If you're drinking a chocolate stout, does that beer say chocolate stout to you? I don't care about the nose and the mouth feel and, the hop profile is giving me a bouquet of bitterness, or whatever these like highfalutin tasting terms are. Are you living up to its promise? And we do that all the time in our businesses, right? Like we make these promises of like, hassle-free transaction. Well, every transaction is going to have bumps in it, right? And this is going to be no problem or no sweat, or like, just trust me and you're not going to have any issues at all. And, that's just not living up to its promise. A better promise is always, I'll be right there with you the whole entire time. Or, I'll take care of you during this transaction. You can believe in me. I'll be there right next to you, lockstep. And I'm always telling my team, what is the promise we're giving to our customers? And are we living up to that, right? So that's kind of the first lesson, is centered around this big giant, what's the promise of what you're delivering? Be careful on those promises.
Yeah, and I just want to remind folks, we talk about this a lot at MortgageCoach. If you're a loan officer and you're promising competitive rates, closing loans on time, being a good, reliable person that you can trust, blah, 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 those are not unique promises. Those are like table stakes. Just as you said, there's a lot of good liquid out there. You got to promise something more. And let's face it, people don't get loans because they want loans. They get loans because they want homes. And the American dream is not just a home. It's being financially free and having a home. So when you're a loan officer and you can deliver a promise that goes beyond the transaction, you're going to win. So I'm not going to get into scripts because I covered this enough in all the interviews I do, but I just really want to connect everybody that as you're listening to this, like, audit your promises. Are they unique? And are they valuable beyond the transaction? Anyways, keep it rolling, bro. I love what you're saying.
It's awesome. The next one, this is a huge lesson, and this is one, God, this one's so simple, but we, how often do we not do this? Is listen to your consumers, listen to your clients, listen to your customers. So we redid our website at Elysian, and every single comment every time we post a picture of a beer to social media, and I mean every time, someone asks where they can get it. It's the number one question that our customers ask. Hey, look at this great new product we're launching. That's awesome. I live in Orlando, Florida. Where can I get it? Now, in the beer business, because of how the laws are, I can't tell you, oh, Dave, go down to the Safeway on 3rd Street and get it. It's because of this weird post-prohibition system that we're into. We didn't really have a solution for consumers to go out and find our beer. We couldn't really point them to a direction. We could give them a phone number of a local wholesaler, but that just didn't really do the trick. So we never answered the question. So when we redid our website, we didn't worry about any of that stuff. People in the beer business, or, beer consumers, they're going to your website to find out about beer, read up about the beers you offer and where they can find it. But we spent all of our time trying to build this beautiful website that did all this stuff telling about our story and all this history stuff that nobody really went to and nobody really used. And then we couldn't answer any of these questions on social media. Where can I get your beer? Because we couldn't point them to anything. So after kind of learning our lesson and really diving into well, gosh, I guess the number one question is, where can I get the beer? We built a beer finder on ELYSIANBrewing.com. And so now our customers can simply go on there. They can put in their zip code and find where they can get Elysian everywhere around them. It's that simple thing of just listening to the problem that your customer or client is having. And I feel like we do that all the time, certainly in our business with beer. We're always saying, oh, yeah, okay, I hear what you're saying, but look at this big shiny thing over here. Like, oh, yeah, okay, that's cool and everything, but what about this thing over here? Really, what are those folks asking for, and keying in on that? That's kind of my second lesson, is listening to those clients or customers.
Yeah, and I anyone who's followed me for more than a decade, that I interview a lot of loan officers, and I had multiple strategies for why I started a YouTube channel. One, it was to find the success stories within our channel and inspire people to want to be a mortgage coach and to teach people how to be a mortgage coach. But it was also to be really close to the market. My goal was there will be no executive in the SaaS software business, in the mortgage space, that knows loan officers, knows executives better than I do, because I'm interviewing them, I'm listening to them, and I'm crushing it. And so I would just push every loan officer out there right now. When's the last time you really talked to a customer with a curious ear? And if you haven't, do it. And I interviewed a loan officer today who's does over $120 million in business, and he talked about how important Brian McCauley talked about how important YouTube was, where people ask him questions, and then he's got a YouTube channel, and he's like, here's a 5-minute, 15-minute video where he is being an authority, he's providing education. And so, I just remind everybody to do that. I know a lot of people listening to this, you're doing it, but I just think we can always do that better. So I love that lesson. Thank you, brother.
Yeah, I on our team, I worked with a guy. He was essentially like the president of Elysian for a while. And he had this unbelievable skill of, no matter what the question was that he got asked, if he didn't know it, he would always say, you know what, that's a great question. I'll find an answer for you. And he'd find the answer. It always feel like sometimes people don't answer because they're afraid of not knowing the answer. So I'll answer something different that I do know. Shout out to him, Kyle Fitzsimmons, good old Fitz. Like, he would always, hey, I don't know the answer to that question. That's a great question, but I'll get back to you with the answer. He was awesome at it. The third lesson, this one's the big one. This is the one, you get these nuggets, you get these kernels in your career, and they make such a huge impact on you. I write everything down in these journals, right? Like, I'm a huge journal writer, and I actually have this lesson written in the front of every single journal I have. I do one of these journals every year. It's always written down in the front of my journal. In fact, I got friends of mine that now write this down in front of their journals just to keep them going. When I was at Rogue, one of the guys that helped start Rogue, one of the first guys, was a guy by the name of Rob Strasser. He was the first head of marketing at Nike. He was really instrumental in bringing Michael Jordan to market. He peeled off from Nike and started Adidas America in Portland. Really, really, really well-known guy. And he would always say, there are 6 things that every awesome marketing initiative should have at its core. Every time you're trying to build a brand story, every time you're trying to do something within that brand story, whether it's a product that you're launching or a service that you're offering, or even if it's marketing yourself, there are 6 things that you need to keep at your focus with what you're doing. And I call this acronym triple USIM. It was kind of a way for me to remember it in my brain. It became kind of this catchphrase that I would say all the time. Is that follow triple USIM? That doesn't follow triple USIM. And if you think about it, SIM and 3 U's, right? So you've got simple, interesting, meaningful, SIM, unique, understandable, and unexpected. So if all of your marketing stuff that you're doing and building your brand and your storytelling is simple, interesting, meaningful, unique, understandable, and unexpected, you have an absolute winner. And to sort of illustrate this point, I take a couple of things out there. Let's look at the iPod. The first time the iPod came out, Steve Jobs marketed it and sort of explained it as 1,000 songs in your pocket. It's your entire music library in your front pocket, right? Well, if you think about the iPod, was it simple? Hell yeah. Was it interesting? Oh my gosh. I mean, it took the world by storm. Was it meaningful? It's your entire music library at your fingertips. Music makes the world go round. Hell yes, it's meaningful. Was it unique? Well, MP3 players existed at the time. In fact, they were kind of ubiquitous at the time, but an MP3 player from Apple wasn't, right? Was it understandable? 1,000 songs in your pocket. And was it unexpected? People had been kind of clamoring for an iPod from Apple forever. They didn't even know it was going to be called an iPod. Yeah, it was unexpected, and it kind of took the world by storm. So it was a great example of triple USIM at work. But we can even screw this up, and I'll give you an example of how this gets screwed up and how it goes sideways in a hurry. We launched a beer at ELYSIAN last year. It was an awesome beer. This liquid was so approachable and drinkable. It was a Kvike pale ale. Kvike yeast is a special kind of German yeast. It makes a real smooth kind of hazy pale ale beer. It was just an absolutely incredible brew. But we packaged it with some influence from some outside folks in a really weird way. We called it Skalrock Pale Ale. We wanted to make it sound Nordic, and the label of it was black and dark, even though the beer itself was kind of light. And we ended up launching it in the winter when it was kind of a more drinkable, like summer beer. So was it simple? Not really, because people couldn't even say the name. They didn't know what Skalrock meant. Was it interesting? I guess kind of, but was it meaningful? Not really. People didn't know what to make of it. It was unique because it was a Kvike Pale Ale, and there's not too many of those out there. But was it understandable? Not at all. People were kind of shaking their heads, and saying, I don't really know what this thing is. I don't really know what to expect from it. Was it unexpected? I guess it was unexpected, but kind of in a bad way. This is unexpected in the sense that I don't know what to make of it. And the beer died. It didn't really go anywhere. People had a hard time believing in it. And it was a real clear-cut example of this is what could happen if you don't really follow the triple USIM example. So this one's a big one. I talk to the team about it constantly. Like I said, I write it down in my journal. And everybody I tell this one to, they're kind of like, yeah, that's, I saw this Super Bowl commercial that kind of sucked, and it was sort of not very simple, or it wasn't understandable. I didn't get it right away. So it's a great lesson from the beer industry on standing out for sure.
I love that. And then I'm going to show my screen real quick. I'm not going to go through all your slides, but I just want to make sure that the industry gets it. This, you call it, how do you pronounce it again?
I call it triple USIM, right?
Triple USIM. But the guys, write this down. And I think we should start writing this down. I mean, I can tell you right now, I'm going to make a page. I think I've already used it. Oh no, I've got some open space in my journal. I go through about 2 of these a year. So I am going to write this down. I do want to remember this. I think it's super powerful. And I also want to draw a little parallel to the mortgage industry. A total cost analysis if it's done right and it's tailored to a client, it is simple, it is interesting, it's life-changing, it's meaningful, it is unique. It's not a fee worksheet. Now, again, the simple and understandable, that does rely on the loan officer. Like I can assure you, Jeremy Forcier, who's created over 8,000 TCAs, he's checking all these boxes. So I do think the loan officer, you need to train yourself so that you can make things simple, interesting, understandable. But a total cost analysis is always meaningful. It's always unique. It's always unexpected. It really checks all 6 of these boxes. Just some of them require the combination of a human being to ask a consumer the right questions and then map these 6 things to the audience. Any thoughts on that? Because I know you've got a backstory with MortgageCoach and you intuitively know some of this.
Yeah, I mean, I was a MortgageCoach user, back when I moved back to Portland. This was kind of the early days of MortgageCoach, and being a finance guy or finance guy, again, depending upon where you're from, being a numbers guy, I absolutely loved the TCA tool. And what's funny, Dave, is when we were talking the other day, you take a step back and you're right. Everything about that tool is triple USIM to its core. It's unexpected. People don't expect to look at their homes as, being able to use their mortgage and use this, what some people might look as a big giant debt obligation in different ways. I thought I was just kind of going to pay on this thing for 30 years and then I was just sort of going to be done with it. So the unexpected nature of no, we can really create some wealth with this, and I can make it understandable for you. You don't have to have a PhD in market analysis in order to understand how this stuff works. It's incredibly unique because it's different from, the person around the corner who's just kind of filling out your loan application and, okay, here you go. You got a loan on a house. And then of course, interesting and meaningful. I think the watch out for me, what I would say to folks in the mortgage industry, honestly, Dave, it's the one that we battle in beer all the time. And it's simple. Simple does not mean necessarily uncomplicated. Again, back to our iPod example, the iPod was incredibly difficult to make. It's super technical and it's impossible to make it that small. But make sure that you're keeping your ideas simple, right? Kind of that proverbial elevator speech. And the awesome thing about the total cost analysis is it really lines that up perfectly. Here's a way, to use your mortgage as an instrument to create wealth, full stop. And that helps keep it super simple. So yeah, I love overlaying this on top of stuff. And, just like with MortgageCoach, you got a winner when you're really running full steam on all 6 of these. So yeah, the big 6 for sure.
Well, dude, I love the big 6, guys. And check this out. He's got a really fun PowerPoint where, one, he's telling his story. He's talking about these lessons. These lessons are amazing. And here's my message, any manager that's hiring speakers. This is fresh. This is great content. This big 6 is a really important concept. All of it, the promise isn't important. These 3 lessons are just complete gold. So first of all, if anyone wanted to hire you as a speaker, have you speak at one of their sales rallies, how could they reach out to you and hire you as a speaker?
Yeah, I mean, I would love the opportunity. I love sharing this stuff. I love marketing and speaking about brand building and stuff. So yeah, that's great. You can reach me, through Instagram, the Nick Mallory. You can find me on the gram, nickmallory.com, or just nick@nickmallory.com, nickmallory.com. So yeah, reach out. And if you want to dive into this further, hit me up and we can talk more. And yeah, Dave, I appreciate the opportunity, man, for sure.
Yeah, well, hey, dude, I appreciate you making time to jump on this, bring the big 6 and all this wisdom that you've gained since leaving the mortgage industry and becoming a rock star marketer in the brewing industry. I'm looking forward to having a beer with you in person, brother. So if you're ever down in Orange County, you got a friend. And next time up in the Pacific Northwest, I'll join you and Justin. Maybe we'll go. Well, you're in Seattle now, so you're not in Portland. So Well,
Quick drive south. I can meet you just like that.
all right,
No
all right.
problem.
So Justin Tucker, I'm sure you're listening to this. Let's make it happen. And appreciate you, brother.
All right, man.
All right. Take care,
Appreciate
everybody.
it.
If you got value from this, give us a like down below. If you have questions, I'd love to interview Nick again. If you got any questions, put the questions down below. Take care, everybody. This is a wrap.
Awesome. Thanks, everybody.